Hi everyone, welcome back to another edition of the Velvet Lounge Life. And yes, as you can see, this will be an eBay edition. And we're going to talk about a few important topics. Some of them are going to involve what's sold and what is selling right now on eBay. And we're also going to talk finances. Yes, that green devil, that crunchy, crispy dollar bill. Hopefully there's lots of them. And having some 20s, 50s, and 100s never hurts anybody. We need it to live. We need it to do business. Let's talk about it. I'm going to talk about the Disaster Relief Fund, the PPE, which is the Paycheck Protection program that they have, and a couple more things that are key, such as some of the weird things that are going on with PayPal. So stick with us. Make sure you give us a thumbs up. Subscribe to our channel. Help me out. And also remember, we definitely have some great drawings coming up as soon as we hit 2,225 subscribers. So thumbs up and subscribe. Leave a comment. You are entered. That easy. We will even pay the postage for you. And there will be links down below in regards to that particular drawing, which so far we were giving away 12 gifts. Now we are up to 15 gifts. So that is awesome, especially during this time. People need something to smile about. So hopefully you will watch these videos. And if you have any questions about the content of the videos, once again, please leave that below. If you have nothing to say, just give us a smiley face. Put an emoji down there. So let's start by talking about a few items that sold on eBay. So we have two eBay accounts. In this particular account, what we sell are what we consider to be some of our antique, unique, vintage items and oddities. So one of the oddities that I found was this. What you see here are 2 tickets to a theater in New York to see Love and Death, which was a play by Woody Allen. And if you notice, the ticket would even entitle you to a free box of popcorn. Yes. And this also came with this postcard that you see of him with a relatively detailed blow-up doll. And believe it or not, yes, a postcard that you would send throughout the United States postal system. So I actually sold this as a grouping together. It sold for $19.99 plus $3.95 shipping and handling. So be on the lookout for stupid, weird, odd, quirky things. They sell all the time. The other thing that I sold, and I actually made a mistake on this listing, but hey, this was a smart buyer. They bought this item and they actually got a really good bargain because I underpriced it. And I'll tell you what my error was. Actually, I'll read the title and see if you can figure out what my error was. So I listed this as a antique. It's Zigaretten because it's German. Cigarette, tin, tobacco, metal box, Hanover, Germany. And I did include the word that you see here, Reisikel, I think is how you, Reisikel. I used to be able to speak some German, but not so much anymore. If you don't use it, you lose it. And the error that I made in the title, which you did not hear, is I should have put a reference to World War II. I did not do that. And because of that, this sold only for $10.99 plus $4.95 shipping and handling. Yes, the tin, as you can see, is missing some paint work. All of this was described, but the main image is intact. Most of the wording is intact, and there's actually wording around the rim of the box as well. And I'm not sure if this one had wording, and actually it had lots of wording inside. I can tell because down below I have like the tiny thumbnails. So that person, smart buyer, got a great deal because I made a mistake, but I honored it by not changing it. I did not cancel the auction. I just let it go on. And also that person was the only bidder. So super smart, glad they got it. Another item that sold is this sterling silver ladies turquoise large square stone ring. In weight, I always put the weight in the title. It's 12 grams. And I always put the size of the ring in the title as well, so that people who are looking maybe just for a silver weight, some people just want to scrap this stuff, and other people actually want to wear it. So hello, they need to know what size it is, and it's much easier for them to search if it's in the title than having to open up every listing. So this sold for $34.99, and it also had shipping of $6.95. And we always ship our jewelry in gift boxes, so it looks nice, it looks professional, just like if you were to go into a jewelry store and buy, you know, you should put some care into your shipping. Let's adjust that a little bit. And also on this one, something unique about it is, we call this a halo when it circles the stone, and you can see a little of the yellow. That's 10 karat gold, so there's a little bit of gold in that as well. Also, we sold some old license plates. These sold for $36.99 and $8.95 for shipping and handling. Yes, they have two different numbers. Yes, I sold them as a lot. So let me interrupt what sold on eBay just to discuss a couple things. So I'm just going to give you some pointers when you're filing for any of the special disaster relief funds, the PPE as they call it, through the SBA, which is a Small Business Administration here in the United States. Some of the things that you need, and of course they're doing these special programs due to what's happening in the world right now with the virus. One of the things that you need to know is by applying for these, some of them are grants and some of them are zero interest loans. So if you are, let's say, and we'll use a florist shop, so someone who sells plants, flowers, a garden center, that type of thing. What you want to do, I believe, is if you're okay right now, you should still apply for these funds. Why? Because it's zero interest. If you don't use the money, you simply pay it back. In some cases, they are, you might be approved where you don't have to pay it back, even if you get it through the PPE. The thing is with the PPE is you better be careful about how you spend those funds. The funds are supposed to be used for payroll, to keep your business going. If you suddenly go out of business, and not even suddenly, but let's say in the next 7 years you go out of business, don't be surprised if you're audited, if they don't start chasing down those dollars, because they might feel as if you didn't do what you said you were going to do. If you suddenly you get this money and you lay people off, you are going to have federal problems. If you, so just make sure, if you're not using this, like, let's say you're using the money for your personal life, you are definitely going to have federal problems. That money is simply being issued to only use for your business. If you suddenly decide to give yourself a nice paycheck, but your employees aren't getting any money, or you reduce the amount of money you give them, that will be an issue. And just don't cheat. It's not worth it. Just, if you don't need the money, do not apply. It makes no sense. Don't get greedy. Also, remember, if you apply for a certain amount, let's say you apply for $50,000 to keep your garden center running, you might only get, let's say, $15,000. Nothing is guaranteed. Your approval to receive $1 is not guaranteed. So make sure that you are not relying on that money to come through from the federal government. If you get it, great. If you don't, obviously you can probably appeal. And also they probably will give you reasons even before you put in an appeal. But if you do put in an appeal, make sure that you have supporting information behind why you think that appeal, like your case, should be reversed. It doesn't guarantee that it'll be reversed, but at least you tried and you gave it all you had. Remember, the amount of money that they approve for you might only cover a few months of payroll and other business expenses. So if you think that you're going to get a huge chunk of money and you're going to remodel your restaurant and do other things that the money is not pledged for, if you will, then that is probably not going to happen. I mean, or if it does, don't be surprised if someone reports you, like your competition could report you. You might have a vengeful customer that reports you, or an employee. Just make sure you're on the up and up, and also plan for the fact that you might only receive enough money to cover you for a few months. Some other things to know is, which I already discussed a couple of these, is each bank it's not even a might, each bank could be and probably is processing the applications differently. I've heard of banks, for example, I know someone who is in Minnesota, and they do not have a nationally named bank. It's like a mom and pop, some tiny town in Minnesota bank. And when the person went to apply through the Small Business Administration, they actually found out that their bank does not participate in the SBA loan program. So make sure you do your research so that you don't waste your time, your gas, your energy, go out there unnecessarily, because remember, all of this can be done online. But before you fill out anything, make sure you call the bank, speak to someone in their customer service unit that will transfer you to someone that deals with the SBA, or they will tell you they don't deal with the SBA, so that you could move on to the next bank. So the person or the organization that you get your loan from, if you're approved, but at least you can apply, might be in a town or city outside of where you're doing business. That's something that you might need to consider. Also, if they do approve you, funds are directly deposited into your account. So when you fill out the application, you do have to give all of your banking information. Have your ABA routing number handy, your account number handy, the name of your bank, exactly their legal name, not something that's been shortened or nicknamed, handy. And the reason that you want to make sure everything you put in triple check your application. The reason you need to do that is either something could be wrong in it that gets you denied, and they could think that maybe you're trying to do something a little bit salacious, so make sure you triple check. Also, let's say that you accidentally put the wrong account number for if you are approved and there's a deposit, obviously that would hold up your funds. So just make sure you triple check that everything that you put in your application is correct and accurate. They will base their decision on your 2019 payroll taxes and your regular taxes that you file through the IRS. So if you don't have your 2020 taxes done, no need to suffer, no need to go crazy. You have until July to get those done because the filing date has been extended. But if you haven't filed your 2020 2019 or 2019 taxes, yes, that will be a problem for you, and you probably will not get approved because obviously the IRS is as short-handed and on a skeleton staff, just like a lot of organizations. There are, as I said before, there are no guarantees. You might not get any funds. You might get rejected for, like I said, a lot of different reasons. And if that happens, just, ask them, double check, make sure that if there's something more you need to submit, that you do that. So some of the things I'm going to discuss after this brief moment, going back to what sold on eBay, are some new things that I noticed with PayPal. So here on the screen, we have this wonderful dance Coben style blue enamel stock pot. These sell really well on eBay. So if you can find them, and if they need to be almost brand new condition. So if they have burn marks, if they're brown inside, discolored, if they're scratched up, if the enamel is chipped, pass it by. Unless you're buying it for $1 and you're selling it for like $15. But if they're in almost perfect condition, then you should be able to sell them for decent money. This one sold for, they had 7 bids on it, and it sold for like I'm trying to do the math here, $42 and 84 cents. So definitely a good one to pick up. I would say I probably paid like $2 or $3 for this. So here are some super fashionable runway earrings. So costume jewelry, I know some people like just don't want to deal in it anymore, or they underprice themselves incredibly when it comes to it. If you have the right costume jewelry, it should sell. And if you price it correctly, of course, it should sell. And it needs to be in pristine condition. So if it has Verides, which is that green, like crusty stuff on it, do not sell it, just junk it. It's not worth it. Or throw it away, actually, because that same green disease, as we call it, is actually something that's catching, and it will actually attach itself to your other jewelry. So that jewelry has to be taken out and thrown away. If they're missing parts or pieces, unless what you're selling is incredibly rare, because super duper rare things sell. Super duper old antique rare things sell really well. Even if they're slightly damaged, you just need to describe that damage in the description and be very clear about what you're showing. Also have pictures, photographs of that particular damage. These were actually in perfect condition. These are from the 1980s, a lot of retro vibe, original 1980s things are selling. As far as costume jewelry goes, as well as accessories like chunky belts, tacky hats. They need to be of the era, and the people that buy this stuff know exactly what they're looking for. But these sold for $19, and it was $3.65 for shipping and handling. Also, oops, I skipped over. I wasn't even going to show you that. But the last thing I think I'll show you right now is this large brass candy thermometer, which is from England. And it is what it is. It's a kitchen utensil. It's an antique piece. It's made, I think that the temperature gauge, like the mercury, because sometimes the mercury becomes old and it doesn't work, but I think this one still worked. And this sold for $24.99 and $6.95 for shipping and handling. So as you can see, there's still a lot of variety and a lot of things that are selling on eBay. So one of the other things I'm going to quickly talk about is PayPal. So one of the things that we've been hearing about PayPal is PayPal has been freezing funds. So if you have a giant chunk of money in your PayPal account, you might want to knock that down by half. Get your money out of PayPal. Keep enough in there to pay your fees, what you average your fees to be for maybe the next, I would say, 4 to 6 months. But anything over that, I would start getting that into your other checking or savings or money market or business accounts that you have, so that if you need the money, there's no freeze on it, there's no holes on it. And I don't know why more people are seeing that happen to their account, but they are. Someone told me that the reason that they were given is for security purposes. Is it that people are pulling a lot of their money out of PayPal, and PayPal is afraid that, lots of balances will go down to less than zero, almost zero? I don't know. But just be aware of that. And like I said, I would actually start moving money from your PayPal account if you have more than 4 to 6 months to cover your fees in there. Anything over that, I would move out. We actually made a couple moves ourselves. Also, PayPal is putting a hold. Wait a minute. They're freezing. Oh, they're freezing lines of credit. Apologies. So I'm reading my own notes here. Listen. Look, see, I actually have notes. And so there are people who take out lines of credit through eBay's business program, or they did. And they're finding that, some of those accounts are getting frozen. So PayPal is not allowing them to use their lines of credit. So one of the things that, and I know someone who is doing this actually, what he did is he took the money that was in his account as a line of credit, and he took 75, I don't know why he took 75%, but that's what he did. He took 75% of that line of credit and moved it into his regular banking accounts. And after doing that, his line of credit was frozen. I know someone else that has a business, and I actually follow their videos on YouTube. And what they did is they were approved for a certain amount as a line of credit. They knew that and ironically, before all of this started, they were going to open a factory in Portugal, move their business from China for production to Portugal for production. And what they did, because they still want to go through with that deal, which actually might be a better deal because of everything going on in the world, is they went in and they took all of their line of credit and moved it into their regular banking accounts. So when PayPal started freezing lines of credit, those two people were able to get part of the line of credit money they were approved for out of PayPal. So just something that you might want to consider. I'm not a financial specialist. What you should do is, I'm just telling you what works for me and what I've heard with other business people and partners. What you will want to do is contact a financial analyst or a financial specialist. Talk to people at the banks that are professionals, obviously, in the field, and get more information so that you can protect your business. And after all of this is over, which hopefully will not be for a while, we don't want them to prematurely let up on any restrictions, because if they do and suddenly hundreds of thousands or millions of people start dying or becoming sick, we will have more of a disaster to deal with than what is going on right now. Right now, all the countries, the world, is in management stage. So with your business, you should still be in management stage. Just be smart about it. Don't get greedy. If you don't need funds, do not take the funds. But also remember that you have to think about not just what's happening now or what's happening over the next couple of months. You have to think about what is going to happen when you open your virtual or your brick and mortar doors again. Will you need money to maybe get some advertising out there to get customers back in the door, to do special promotions, special discounts, special giveaways to entice those customers, and to say thank you for still being with us? We already know what we're going to do when this is over as far as thanking our regular customers. You should be thinking about that right now. Also, remember, there may be other fees or other expenses that you will have to incur to reopen your business. One of the ones I could think of is if you have any type of brick and mortar store, you should be doing business differently. Your employees should have certain for example, if you have a restaurant, if I ever go in a restaurant again and I don't see the chefs, the cooks, the people maybe spooning up the food or whatever, or, at a carving station, if they're not wearing gloves, if they're not wearing some sort of protective stuff over their clothing, we are leaving. We are not going to patronize that place. Also, obviously, another expense that every brick and mortar out there is going to have is you should have a cleaning crew go through and disinfect every surface in your shop. Why? Because you don't want your shop to be the source, or your store, restaurant, whatever it is, to be the source of a potential second outbreak. Because in other countries, that is what they're seeing, is some of them are now on a second, number 2 outbreak. So you just, have to think about how will you pay for those things. Those are not things that you would traditionally have to deal with. Maybe the bills have piled up, and in order to keep the electricity on, you'll have to pay that bill by a certain date. Will you have, so like I said, when you're thinking finances, don't just think about what's happening right now immediately. Think about what extra types of expenses, what bills have piled up, that type of thing. Inventory you might need because you may have had to quickly get rid of everything before it went bad, or before it became stale or outdated or whatever it was. And how are you going to get more inventory if you didn't plan for it? So thank you so much for tuning in again to another episode of the Velvet Lounge Life. Once again, please remember to subscribe to our channel. Give us a thumbs up. Down below, we love comments. We really appreciate it when you leave them. Leave a comment down below. Simply leaving a comment and subscribing to our channel enrolls you in our free gift giveaways. We give away fantastic things that you can actually resell yourself or keep for yourself or give to someone as a gift. And we pay the postage. So thank you so much. Remember that your health is your wealth. Without your health, you have absolutely nothing. So please, please, please be responsible. Take care of yourselves and be well.